but until they got to Alabama, they didn't know that African American students, staff, and faculty alone populated their new school. Nor did they fully realize at first the stigma attached to being identified as members of the inferior race. Compounding that cultural dissonance, they spoke or understood little English, and few people at Tuskegee knew more than rudimentary Spanish. Those who were already at the Institute felt under assault by the hostile Pablos, Joses, and Juans, who hated the food, customs, regimentation, and inhospitable people whom they encountered. The old students complained that the new boys smell bad, cuss in Spanish, carry knives, drink rum, and smoke in the woods, and they dubbed the islanders cucarachas, for the Caribbeans and Alabama's flying cockroaches. The recent arrivals, however, reappropriated that name as their own, captured scores of the vile creatures in cigar boxes, then released them under the door cracks of their tormentors' dormitory rooms. That swift retaliation led to a hostile détente. The tense situation came to a head when several of the new arrivals' parents back on the island wrote Alabama's Governor Johnston complaining that had they known in advance that Tuskegee Institute was a school for Negroes, they'd never have let their young people attend. The governor cabled Mr. Washington, "I am outraged by this violation of our racial regulations. If the white Puerto Ricans are not removed within 30 days, the Institute's public funding will be terminated and the responsible parties criminally charged." Pursuant to state laws, which directed that colored and white students shall not attend the same schools, the white boys had to leave immediately. Logan thus lined up the islanders in the quadrangle, where Alabama's superintendent of education inspected their ranks and plucked out the ones whom he deemed to be Caucasians. Those with lighter skins and straighter hair were removed from the premises, but were neither transferred to a school for white Alabamians nor provided any means by which to return home. In the governor's eyes, however, his unanticipated race problem had been resolved. Adella's baby, Paul Winston Logan, paler-skinned and straighter-haired than any of the ousted Puerto Ricans, arrived at their officially resegregated school soon thereafter. But one of Macon County's white physicians facilitated the delivery, not Dr. Hallie Tanner Dillon. That pioneering female practitioner had remarried and laid aside her hard-earned profession to follow her new husband from his position at Tuskegee Institute's Bible School to a rural Louisiana parish. Once there, she bore 3 sons in rapid succession, then passed away in childbirth. After Dr. Dillon's departure, students, faculty, staff, and their families went to the town doctor as needed. That presented a minimal hardship for Adella, since the local practitioner winked at what he suspected was her designated race. She knew that such preferential treatment was unjust, but guiltily accepted her inadvertent advantage. Yet for her darker-skinned colleagues who had to stand outside his office, regardless of weather or the severity of their conditions, and wait for hours as white patients streamed in and out, the experience was both humiliating and detrimental to their health. But after Booker T. Washington made several missteps in his efforts to circumvent that egregious situation, he found the right resident physician for the Institute, Dr. John Kenney. Some of Adella's friends, however, were less fortunate. Soon after her own Paul's birth, W.E.B. Du Bois's 2-year-old son Burkhart died in Atlanta. He and his wife, both of them Northerners who were naive about Southern prejudices and practices, had been unable to obtain the services of a doctor with access to a hospital that would tend to his black patient's needs. Adella wrote her friend a letter of condolence, but knew that nothing she said could be adequate. On a happier note, Patty Winston came to Tuskegee for her godson Paul's christening. She also confided, "My ward Della has seemed morose of late, but I chalk it up to anxieties about her senior year at Emma Willard." Patty also urged Adella to join her in Washington, D.C., for the upcoming convention that would celebrate Susan B. Anthony's 80th birthday. "As your race's only lifetime member of the NAWSA," she asked, "wouldn't you like to bring greetings to Aunt Susan from the South's voiceless and voteless colored women?" Indeed she would. And meanwhile, Adella's youngest brother Tommy, with his unusual mismatched eyes, was thriving in Weston, Massachusetts. He hadn't changed his residence with the police chief since he'd first arrived there, but had secured improved employment in a neighboring town's public gardens.